sincere thanks to the Minister for Mental Health and Older People, Jim Daly, for coming into the House to address this very serious issue in our constituency, the Rosalie unit in Castlerea in County Roscommon. And I also want to commend him for acting speedily to meet a deputation from the County of Roscommon this evening. I do appreciate that. And I also want to acknowledge representation that was made to you by your party colleague, Senator Maura Hopkins. Minister, I'm calling on you to provide clarity and answers in relation to the future of the Rosalie unit in Castlerea, County Roscommon. As I said, I thank you most sincerely for meeting a deputation later on this evening in Dáil Éireann. I, like many others, am deeply concerned that the HSE have reneged on a 2015 promise to keep open the Rosalie unit in Castlerea, and many people fear that there is now a closure by stealth taking place. And I will tell you why. The unit, a pretty new unit, possibly there 20, 30 years, I'm not so sure, but it was originally to cater for 33 people. A fine unit, 33 beds. It's now down to 12 or 13. Many of the residents of the Rosalie unit are people who suffer from Alzheimer's or dementia. There was an embargo on admissions to the unit in September 2016, despite the assurances given the previous year. Now, the former Minister of State in this department, Kathleen Lynch, told a deputation that met her at the time there was absolutely, and I'm quoting directly here, no plans to close it, nor will there be such plans. The HSE has stated the intention is to provide care for the residents in the unit as long as this is in the interests of the individual residents. But this language, as you know, Minister, is very, very vague. And who decides what is in the interest of individual residents? I often wonder about this language, and I know you're very passionate about your brief and you're very sincere. But for somebody in the HSE to make a statement, that they are going to decide what is in their individual interests, I don't accept that at all. Many family members are also feared that their loved ones could be moved to Ballinasloe. Now, Ballinasloe is a long, long way from the town of Castlerea. Ballinasloe in East Galway, Castlerea in County Roscommon. This would be horrendous for many of the patients in the unit at the moment, and indeed for their families. And I have to say, Minister, this is affecting, so sadly, it is affecting some of the people who are in that unit at the moment. It is very concerning that the Rosalie unit has been closed to new admissions since September 2016. I understand you've got that information. I need you to clarify this, Minister, and I want answers to the questions. Is the unit going to remain open? And can you provide a date as to when new residents will be accepted? As I said, the number is down to 13, 12 maybe. It has the capacity for 33, and over the years that has been steadily reduced. So it is a big issue, not alone in the environs of Castlerea, but throughout County Roscommon. And there was huge public meetings 2 years ago. We were satisfied at the time that we had got assurances and that everything was going to be okay. But now we are very, very concerned. Of course, I'm not coming in here saying it's going to close. But as you know yourself, when you see what's happening, you wonder how long more can this unit remain open. And by the way, I had a number of people who couldn't get into any unit over Christmas who could have used this unit for a couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
Minister Daly has 4 minutes.
And thank the Deputy for bringing this important issue to the attention and the floor of the Dáil here today, and to commend the Deputy, first of all, to thank you for your generous and comments at the outset there, but also to commend the Deputy and indeed your generosity for acknowledging your colleague as well, Senator Maura Hopkins, and yourself, who have been very committed and very focused on this issue and have ensured that it has been within my radar for as long as I've been in this job. And the people you represent are fortunate to have representatives of your calibre and of your commitment to this particular issue and all issues pertaining to mental health. And I know you're very passionate and genuine on that, and you've always acknowledged very generously as well the work of your colleagues, and as you said, particularly there, Senator Hopkins. A Vision for Change sets out a comprehensive policy framework for the development of mental health services. It recommends broadly a move away from the traditional institutional-based model of care to a more patient-centred, flexible and community-based service, where the need for hospital admission is greatly reduced, while still providing inpatient care as appropriate. This Government has prioritised the reform and resourcing of our mental health services in line with a vision for change. The Rosalie unit, part of Áras Naomh Chéileann, is located in Castlerea, County Roscommon. It is a continuing care facility for psychiatry of later life patients. There are currently 13 residents at the Rosalie unit. The intention of the HSE is to continue to provide care for these residents in line with their identified needs in their individual care plans. The Rosalie unit has been closed to new admissions since the 27th of September 2016. The HSE indicate that it is not proposed at present to reopen the unit to new admissions. In relation to the particular query raised by the Deputy, the report of the Expert Review Group on Community Mental Health Services in Galway Roscommon was published in July 2014. The review focused on 59 residential care settings and resources, including the Rosalie Centre, Castlerea. The report was based on the guiding principles of patient-centredness, equality, access to quality care, and is focused on recovery and integration with other mental health and mainstream health services. The key goal of the report was to make recommendations to ensure service users maximise their full potential and to improve the quality of their lives overall. It advocates that each client is individually assessed and is provided with the most appropriate care relevant to their needs. The local mental health service, and in particular the psychiatry of later life community mental health team, work with clients and their families to develop plans that will improve their quality of life overall. The Executive indicates also that capacity exists within the Cray Suite in Ballinasloe to accommodate psychiatry of later life patients who have complex continuing care needs. This Cray Suite is an improved centre under the Mental Health Act, which has recently been extensively renovated and modernised to the highest standards and has access to enclosed state-of-the-art gardens. In conclusion, I can confirm to the Deputy that the HSE has assured me that, in its management of the Rosalie unit, it has taken due account of the principles laid out in a vision for change and the recommendations of the Roscommon report on mental health services. I, in conjunction with the HSE, would closely monitor the development of all community-based mental health services in the Galway-Roscommon area, including those provided at the Rosalie unit.
I do appreciate that, Lascan Cora. But I have to say I am deeply concerned about the last two paragraphs in this statement from you, which obviously the HSE have, given you this information. And it's clearly stating, in my view, and the way I read it, that it is their intention to consider moving people to Crea in Ballinasloe, which is, I'd say, up to 40 miles from Castlerea. I have to tell you again that many of the patients in that centre are unsettled at the moment because of this news. There are people where their families come into them locally, spending time with them, great staff in the place, very happy in the place. And I would just point out the consultant geriatrician at Roscommon University Hospital, Jerry O'Mara, said he believed, and I'm quoting directly here, that the unit was being closed by stealth. There was a big demand for an Alzheimer's unit in Roscommon where about 2,000 people of all ages suffer from the diseases. I think it's one of the biggest number of patients anywhere in the country. And we have to take in what a senior medical person is saying here. And he's quite clearly saying we cannot afford to let this unit close. Now, when we talk about the vision for change, and of course we all accept it, the vision for change was something we all wanted to adopt into, but not every little minute detail in the vision for change did any of us totally agree with. And my full focus here is on making people unhappy, like Liam's mother, like Anissa's relation and others who have come to us, and their representatives will be coming here this evening to speak to you. But they are concerned because they see their people very, very unhappy now. And as I said, and as you know, this arose 2 years ago, we were given the commitments. So, Minister, I would ask you to do all in your power to not allow the HSE make this change. It will cause a lot of despair and a lot of upset to people. And I acknowledge there's a great unit in Ballinasloe, but it's too far away and it's going to cause upset to patients.
Yeah, and thank you again, Deputy. And I appreciate the sentiment that you bring to this, and I genuinely do, and the passion and the concern you have on behalf of the residents that are there. And I would be very distressed to know if the residents there were very unsure and very unsettled as a result of uncertainty pertaining to their future. So I certainly will address that. And as you were aware, Deputy, I will be meeting with the HSE and with yourself and Senator Hopkins this evening. Later on this issue, we'll have people from the HSE there, and obviously I'll get a feel for it as well with the other people who will be up to give me a sense of it. And the commitment I will give you, and as you know, I can't give you a commitment as to what will open or what will close or any such situations like that. But I do agree with you that a Vision for Change was a great document, but it didn't get everything right, and we didn't always make the right decisions. And Deputy McGrath, alongside you there, I think would be aware of what I'm talking about there, and we've discussed it in his local area. So it didn't get absolutely everything right, and there could have been a haste to close some institutions at the time without sufficient progress being made on built-in community services afterwards and supports there for people and alternative avenues of care. So I don't know enough about Roscommon. I know a fair deal about it, but tonight's meeting will inform me a bit further. But the commitment I will give you, Deputy, and I will give it to you in full sincerity, is that I will approach this with a 100% open mind, and I will assist and support you and your fellow Oireachtas colleagues every step of the way in holding the HSE to open, transparent and full accountability and communication, and do everything we can to provide assurances to, first of all, the residents that are in Rosalie at the moment, and indeed the wider community who care so much about it as well.